let's distinguish between qualitative and quantitative data. And then let's go a step further and go the difference between discrete and continuous, okay? Because while we're having fun, let's just go all in. So qualitative versus quantitative. Now, it's a pretty big difference in that qualitative data is generally words. This is how I describe it, right? It describes something. So when we talk about someone's hair color, or their blood type, or their ethnic group, or their type of car they drive, etc. When you describe things with words, or when you ask people like their favorite color and you keep track, or their favorite foods and you keep track, those are words. That is qualitative data. Whereas quantitative data is numbers. So a lot of times in my class that I teach, I talk about quantify that, meaning use numbers to back up your statement. So when we talk about the amount of money in my pocket, my pulse rate, how much I weigh, the number of people in a city, the number of packages the mailman is carrying, all of those things are numbers. So anytime we're talking about numbers, that is quantitative data. Now, when we talk about quantitative data, we can discuss the difference between discrete and continuous. So with qualitative data, there's only one type, right? It's just qualitative and then that's it. But in quantitative, we can split it in two ways. So discrete data is the result of counting. So think about just counting, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could do this all day. That is discrete data. So when you are looking at something, if they are the counting numbers, then it is discrete, right? So there are no decimals or fractions. An example, we go to a soccer game. The number of goals scored in a soccer game is discrete data. There will not be 2.5 goals scored. No, there could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 80, but those are all whole numbers, right? So no decimals or fractions. So when you're thinking about data, ask yourself, can I have 2.5 of that? Can I have 3.1 of that? If the answer is no, you can have 1 or 2 or 3. That is discrete. Continuous data is the result of measuring. So think of a measuring cup, right? We have 1 cup, a half cup, a third of a cup, a fourth of a cup, an eighth of a cup. Right? We can have fractions. You can have all the values between the counting numbers, all decimals and all fractions. So an example, the amount of water in my water bottle. Do I have 24 ounces? Do I have 22.2? I could have 3.72489. We can have all the decimals, all the fractions, all of that makes sense. So when you are measuring something and you can have fractions and decimals, that's continuous. If it has to be counting numbers, you have discrete. And there's the difference between qualitative and quantitative, and broken down difference between discrete and continuous.